fellow collectors, and welcome to Long's Toys. Today we are taking a look at Core Class Dinobot Sludge from the Transformers Legacy Evolution line from Hasbro. So packaging right off the bat, really bright and colorful. I really like the packaging for Evolution. Nice artwork of Sludge here in Dino mode with that kind of green aura that all the box art seems to depict the figures in. And then we have some really nice artwork here of the robot mode on the side. Over on this side we have that half of the Evolution mural going on there. Not really too much going on the top or the bottom. Just have the Legacy Evolution logo up there. And then over here on the back, we have some product shots of the robot mode and the dino mode. And he is number 1 of 6 for Volcanicus. So I'm going to go ahead and get him out of the packaging here, and we'll take a closer look. So here is Sludge out of the packaging, and I'm not going to lie, the robot mode is kind of a mess. The dino head does come separately in the packaging, and you have to just clip it on here. You just kind of snap it over top of this bar right here, and then that can swivel around like so. Yeah, I don't even know where to begin. So we'll start with the positives. The head sculpt is pretty good, but the eyes are so recessed in there that I feel like you barely can see them, but they are in there, and they are kind of painted blue, but I just don't understand why they had to be so tiny to the point that I really can't barely see them. For some reason, I can kind of see them better in person. They're not really showing up on camera all that well. But the head is painted nicely. You have the black, you have the silver. I think all that looks good. It's just that the head crest kind of just casts such a shadow. But there are 2 eyes in there that are painted blue. The paint here on the chest looks good. A little bit of paint down here on the toes, which looks pretty good. That's about it. I mean, the arms are so far apart from the body. I feel like that looks weird. And the legs are just a mess. When I first saw pictures for this online, I thought these pieces were going to just hang off the side. And I thought, well, maybe I can rotate them down or try to hide them behind the leg or something like that. But that is not the case. So I'm going to lift up the skirt piece here just so you can see how this all works. So this piece is connected to the body here. Then this comes down, and then it's connected to the lower part of the leg down here. So there's a ball joint here, there's a swivel here, and then there is a hinge and a rotation up here. So I guess this is his hip off to the side, and then he's got like the swivel there, and then you got the ball joint down here. So like this filler piece is just here to kind of make the legs look cohesive, and then you have the skirt come down again to kind of make it look like one continuous leg. But you need these giant pieces on the side the way everything is connected. And it just looks so weird, like having these giant dino leg pieces just there on the side. He just looks kind of like a giant brick. Like there's just not much going on here. There is a ball joint here in the shoulder. The arms are one solid piece. The head can swivel from side to side. And you do have kind of a mid-ab swivel there. I wouldn't even call it a waist swivel because the waist really should be down here. But I'll say like a mid-abdomen swivel. And I think that's really more for the combined mode of Volcanicus. I feel like all of Sludge exists for the combined mode. And it's a shame, like, let's just bring Slug in here. So, like, Slug obviously has a combined mode as well. But he still looks like a decent robot. You know, he's got arms, he's got legs, he's got a decent dino mode. We'll get to his dino mode in a minute. But just the 2 of these are like night and day. Like this is still a fun, decent looking little core class figure. And this guy's just kind of a brick. This whole leg abdomen section here is just kind of a mess. And it's a shame. Sludge is my favorite Dinobot. So to see him really, you know, get this treatment is kind of a bummer. I mean, it can still kind of be a fun toy. The dino head looks really good. We'll get to that when we get to the dino mode. I could almost forgive the arms, you know, being out here to the side really far. It's not the biggest deal, but just this whole section here just really looks bad in my opinion. I wish there was some way, like if they could have just taken these and maybe just swiveled them to the back. That's really all you would have had to do. And I understand that probably would have messed up the connection for the Volcanicus. But if they could have found a way to just rotate these on the back so that they just hung straight here behind the legs, I think that would have been fine. I think that could have worked. Because I feel like the reason the arms have to be so far out is to clear all of this. So if they could have found a way to rotate them in, then I feel like the legs could have been, normal. Even if they had to be like this, but maybe you could push them in because you could fill in this section here or something. I think they could have really, this guy would have been great. Just these giant pieces on the side. It's just very much in serving the combined mode at the expense of the individual robot mode, which is a shame. Also, he comes with no accessories. So while Slug had this strange little blaster thing, like at least he had something, Sludge just really just doesn't have anything in terms of accessories. So, I mean, I still like him because he's my favorite Dinobot, but it's just not a very good robot mode. And it's mostly just the arms having to be out to the side to clear this and these pieces here. If only they could have rotated them to the back, I think this guy could have really been saved, and I think he would have been fine. But as he stands, like, I'm trying to be okay with it, but it is just kind of a mess. But, there's his robot mode. Let's get into the transformation here. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is come around to the back and just lift the dino head about to there. You're going to lift the arms up. That's about as much to the side as they'll go. Bring this in, and they will peg together. So you just have to line that up like so. Then you're going to spin them 180 at that mid-ab swivel, like that. You're going to peg the two legs together like this, and then you're going to rotate this around, and you can see that there's a large empty cavity here, which the fists are going to hide into. So you kind of have to just tilt this down, and then they'll fit inside there, and then just pop this down, and that will pretty much give you the entire body of the dino, and then you just flip the head up, and that will peg into place like so. So there is the Brontosaurus, Brachiosaurus, the Dino mode. So here he is in Dino mode. Now, unfortunately, in Dino mode, he has no articulation whatsoever. These thick back legs here are just stuck in place because of the way he transforms. These legs don't move at all because of the way he transforms. The jaw is not articulated. So he's got really no articulation whatsoever, which is kind of a bummer. Not that you really need a ton for the little dino mode, but it would have been nice to have something. I do think that the head is really nicely painted. They have a nice Autobot symbol there on the top. The gold's really nice. The blue for the eyes is actually really nice. Very hollow underneath here, though, which is kind of a bummer. I guess I don't really need it to... I don't know. It just would have been nice to somehow cover that up as well, but I get it. It's a, little core class figure. I'm willing to let certain things go. Like this kind of stuff, I get it's a core class figure. I'm trying not to be too hard on it. And the lack of articulation, I could almost let go as well. Like I said, I do really like the dino head. I think that's really nicely painted. Here he is with Slug. And it's just weird because he's like much smaller than Slug, which looks weird. And the fact that he's so close to the ground while Slug is not is also kind of strange. Plus, like, the Triceratops head is so much larger than the Brontosaurus, Brachiosaurus, whatever it is. So the proportions are just a little weird when putting these two side by side. Plus, at least, like, this guy looked like he had legs. This guy just kind of looks like a brick that moves around. He just kind of scoots. So, yeah, it's, it's okay. Sadly, I think it's the better of the two modes. But I guess that's not really saying much. So getting him into the combined mode is pretty simple. You're going to take the arms and just rotate them straight up. And then kind of pop them a little bit out to the side. You're going to rotate the legs on this mushroom peg right here. So that's going to just swivel around like so. And then you're going to bring this around, and you can see that there's a little notch right there. And that's going to go with this little tab right here. So you're going to bring this up and then just pop that onto the tab like so. So rotate around and then bring this up and tab this in like this. So that's pretty much the combined mode transformation for him. You're going to take this little piece from the tail/weapon of Slug, and you're going to peg it in here to the front, just like that. And that's going to give you 3 peg holes right there. So you're going to bring Slug in, and he's got these 3 pegs right here, and he's got this big open cavity here, which is where Sludge's head is going to go. So you just drop this all in here like so. And then you're going to take the arms, and they have these big peg holes right here, which are going to tab on right here. So you just go ahead and pop those both on. And there you go. I guess at this point, if you want to push these in or whatever you want to do with the legs in the back there. But that is your combined form for Volcanicus. Now, I know a lot of people have been like using limbs from other weaponizers and things and the Junkions to kind of give him arms and legs. I unfortunately do not have the Junkion from the first wave of evolution yet, so I can't do that. I thought I could bring in, you know, just kind of like any old random weaponizer here, but unfortunately, these have the pegs here in the shoulder and then nothing but peg holes here in the arm. And this guy is the opposite. He's got the peg holes here, and so there's no way to connect these. So unfortunately, I can't really even do that. It's kind of the same thing with the legs, where that's just a peg hole, and then he's got peg holes here underneath. So unfortunately, I will not be able to show that off. I guess when I eventually get the Junkion, I'll have to do that. But you can at least see the torso. I mean, when you look at him, he's probably going to be around the size of a deluxe when he's done, if you feel like his arms and legs. Let me tilt this up a little bit here. So I would say maybe slightly taller than a deluxe size figure once he's all together, depending on how tall the legs are. But yeah, that's kind of about how big I would expect him to be. So, I mean, this combined mode looks okay. I don't mind this. I just feel like, you know, we really have to suffer, unfortunately. Like, he's going to have nice waist movement there. He's going to have nice ball joints. I guess this is going to kind of be his hips. He'll have pegs here, so that'll be a swivel, I guess, for the legs. And then arms will peg in there, I would assume. So, I mean, he'll probably have some decent articulation in the combined mode, which is nice. But I just feel like Sludge had to suffer so horribly in robot mode to make this happen. So hopefully this is worth it when it's all done. So far, I think it looks pretty good. But we'll see once we get some more Dinobots. So unfortunately, Sludge is really just okay at best. It's such a shame because, like I said, he really is my favorite Dinobot. And I feel like when they first announced they were doing core class Dinobots, I was really excited. I thought they could just be normal core class Dinobots. I did not need them to be a combiner, but I believe at this point they've pretty much confirmed, or all but confirmed, that this is going to be remade into Monstructor or Dino King or, you know, something from that era, and they're just giving them to us as the regular Dinobots first. So it could be cool. I mean, if all of this leads to a really nice looking Dino King, then fine, I'm here for it. And I really want to be okay with the robot mode here. There's just a couple things. The eyes being so ridiculously small, I feel like that wasn't necessary. The arms just being so far out from the body. Like, I understand that's because of these. So they had to be, you know, have enough clearance to have movement, because if they were right against the body, they'd hit it into these and then you'd have no range of motion. So I understand that that was a necessity, but I just wish they could have handled this somewhat better. Because honestly, if you just hide these, you know, and you just look at this part of it, he looks fine. Like, if that looks perfectly normal to me. So if there was some way to maybe swivel these around the back so that they just kind of hit here on the back, something like that, I think that's all they would have had to do. Now, I understand I'm not a toy engineer. I don't know how involved and difficult that is, so I'm not trying to say, oh, they could have just done that. It's so simple. I'm not trying to say that. But I'm saying if they could have found a way to do that and still have everything else work, I think it could have made a big difference. And I think it could have really helped out this figure, just hiding these things on the back. Because then I feel like the arms could have been a little bit closer, and then he really probably would have been a nice solid little figure. I think it would have looked great. Also, some kind of accessory would have been nice, whether it's a gun or a sword or whatever. Just throw something, you know, in the package with this guy would have been nice. So the robot mode's a bit of a mess. The dino mode is all right, but again, it's very compressed and kind of tiny, which for, you know, the Brontosaurus or Brachiosaurus, whichever dinosaur it is, I always forget at this point, to be kind of the smallest one, I think is weird. When you put him next to Slug in Dino mode, he just looks so tiny and compact. And that's just a little weird to me. And he has no articulation whatsoever in the Dino mode, which is also kind of a bummer. So I don't think he's terrible. I don't think he's the worst thing ever, but he's definitely worse than Slug. I'll have to wait and see the other 4 that are supposed to come out. But I think he's definitely a contender for probably the worst of the 6 so far. And I think he's going to be hard to beat for that title. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, just a little letdown. Again, not the worst thing ever. I still think you can have some fun with him. And he's a core class figure, so I'm trying to let some things go. Like, you know, the really hollow neck under here, that kind of stuff I feel like I can let go. And I'm really trying to just, like, get used to this with these things on the side. And maybe it's not that bad if I can just get used to it. But it's kind of rough. So we'll see how it goes. Like I said, maybe the combined Volcanicus or Dino King or whatever will be so great that I can just kind of get past this. But as it stands right now, kind of a letdown with this guy. I feel like Slug was very successful, or at least successful enough in both robot mode and Dino mode. Being a combiner, he still was successful in those 2 modes, and I just feel like, you know, Sludge had to basically give both modes to be a kind of abdomen and thigh area. And, you know, I guess he's sacrificing himself for the good of the team, so I guess we should thank him. But we'll see how Volcanicus works out. But I feel like I'm just kind of saying the same stuff over at this point, so I'm just going to let you guys let me know what you think in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and as always, thanks so much for watching.